Hello and welcome back to Algebra 1 Credit 8. We're going to be going over a few more problems, a little bit of a challenge questions after the last video. I promise I won't take too much of your time, but I do want to make sure you're able to do some of the more challenging questions as well. So let's look again at pairs of terms. What are these both a multiple of? 3, right? And I can divide out an x squared. So if I divide out 3 goes into 3 once, and if I divide out an x squared, I should be left with 1x. Over here, if I divide out 3 goes into negative 15, negative 5 times, right? And that x squared goes away. All right, now I switch over here. Now you're noticing a little bit of something different. You might have already guessed multiple. I can divide out of both. Remember, the whole point is that I want this to be the same as what I'm going to divide out here. Now, if you notice right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide out of 2. You're like, Ms. Martinez, I know my integer rules. And if I divide out of 2, well, if I divide out of 2, that's a negative divided by a positive, isn't it? Won't I still be ending up with a negative x? It doesn't look at all. I mean, there's a negative here, but that negative is attached to the 5. And then if I divide that here, 2 goes into 10. Well, that's just going to get me a positive 5. I mean, it looks similar, but the signs are way off. So I need to do one more step. I don't need to just divide out of 2. I think I might need to divide out a negative as well. So let me divide out a negative from this negative x squared and this, and see if I can't make it look more like what I want it to look like, which is x minus 5. If I divide out a negative, what would that turn into? If I divide out a negative, what would that turn into? A positive, right? If I divide out a negative, what would that turn into? A negative. Now this looks way similar, right? Now I can factor it. Now I can take out the binomial they share, x minus 5, and I can see what's left over, 3x squared minus 2. If you come across this type of question, don't think like, oh, I did it wrong. You might need to take out a negative as well. You always want to just check, just in case. Let's deal with another challenge question. Oh, this one's got negatives galore. Try this one out. All right, so again, I'm going to pair them up. What are these both a multiple of? 5x squared, good. So I'm going to divide that out. 5 goes into negative 10, negative 2, and I'm only taking out 2 x's from 3, so I'm left with one of them left over. Again, I'm going to divide out 15 divided by 5, x squared. That'll cancel out. 5 goes into 15. Okay, so far so good. All right, what are these two a multiple of? 4, right? Plus 4. All right, so I'm going to divide out 4 divided by 8. Just say 8 divided by 4, sorry. And negative 12 divided by 4. Oh, wait. I mean, again, I'm left with, they look similar, but the signs are way off. So I'm going to need to divide out negative somewhere, right, so that they can match. Yeah, let's take out let's take out a negative from the first one, just because this right here just looked awkward. Call it my opinion, but it just looks awkward. And I hope, God, that I spelled awkward right. Remember, I'm a math teacher, not an English teacher. But at any rate, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and divide out negative. If I divide out a negative, what's going to happen to that? All right, it's going to turn into a positive. And if I divide out a negative from here, what's going to happen to that 3? It's going to be a negative as well. So Now I have binomials that they share, and I can take out that binomial 2x minus 3, right? And I'm left with what's ever left over, which is a negative 5x squared plus 4. All right, any questions about that? Again, if you have any questions at all, please come into the Learning Center and get help with an individual attention. Let's try another one. Ooh, this one has X's and Y's. How much fun is this? I'm totally nerding out. All right, so we're going to take out GCFs with pairs. Now, I know I told you to put problem in descending order, but if you notice, there's really no degrees here, right? I mean, that's just a number, but there's no degrees here. So let's just pair them up, see what happens. Let's use our same technique we've been using. What are these both a multiple of? 8, right? So if I divide out an 8, that'll be y. 8 divided by negative 8. Negative 1. Okay, what do these two have in common? Well, they both have an x, right? If I divide out an x, I'll be left with a negative 1. If I divide out an x here, I'll be left with a y. Oh no, they don't look very similar. Well, kind of, right? That negative 1, there's a negative 1, and that y is positive, and that y is positive. What? So it's not really the numbers so much, but they're not in the same order. So what if I just switch the order of the second one? So rather than that y being second and the negative 1 coming first, what if I just do this? Y and then negative 1. Now, I didn't divide out a negative. All I did was switch the order. I'm just going to switch the order. That was my sound effect for switching the order, by the way. Now I can take out that binomial that they share, y minus 1, and I'm left with 8 plus x, or x plus 8. So either one's correct. You know, this one just looks more normal because we're used to the variables being first. But either one, again, fine. All right. Let's do one more for the road. All right, so again, we're going to pair these up, make sure they're in descending order, 3, 2, 1 number. All right, what variable do they have in common, and what multiple are they both of? 4a squared. So if I divide out a 4a squared out of here, that would be leaving me with a. If I divide out 4 out of this 4a squared out of here, I'll be left with 2. Now, what do these two have in common? Other than they're both multiples of 3, what else do they have in common? Right, they have a negative 3 in common. I could divide that out right now. Not just the 3 and not just the negative, but both of those at the same time. So if I divide that by negative 3, what will I get here? Okay, and if I divide a negative 3 by this, what will I get here? Positive 2. So again, I'm going to take out that binomial that they share. So we took out the negative as well because they both had a negative in common. So we'll take out the binomial that they share, and that's a plus 2 times 4a squared minus 3. All right, so just some questions you want to ask yourself when you're grouping is how many terms are there? If you need to group, it's probably going to be 4 terms. All right, because remember we're making pairs. Can you take out a GCF of everything? You always want to, if you can take it out of everything, do that first. But if not, grouping might be for you. Are they in order by degree? That's really important, right? X to the third, x squared, x, and then the number. Do I need to take out a negative? So you always want to ask yourself that. If the binomials are not the same, if I'm ending up with something like that, you might want to say, okay, well, if I take out a negative, then and then the same. Then I have something that's the same. So if you might have to. As always, please come in the Learning Center and ask questions of the tutors and teachers at the site. And as always, happy math problem solving. See you next time.